Welcome everyone to the Side Draft Podcast, in which we do a Why Fans Love Their Driver series every Wednesday. And it was requested that we would do Kevin Harvick this week, talk why the fans became attracted to Harvick. You know, when you go to a racetrack, why they wear the 4 or 29 hats and shirts around the track. Answers all came from Facebook. The first one is from Jonathan. He says, I became a fan of Kevin Harvick because of his incredible talent and amazing skill behind the wheel of a race car. I was so thrilled and stoked to see his number 4 win a Cup Championship in 2014. I enjoyed seeing Budweiser on this 4 the most. I really enjoy watching him go around the track and putting slower cars a lap down. I want him to become a 2-time Cup champion. I am enjoying this phenomenal run in 2018 even more. Let's hope he wins 10 races this year. Go, Kevin Harvick. Go, go, go.
That's a good one to really start with. He's got some real enthusiasm right there. And Kevin Harvick, he really is on rails this year. He's just mowing the competition down. Him and Rodney Childers, they really come together and made that number 4 car stronger. And it's really helped out the 4 team and also all the ones that Stuart Haas.
Yeah, you can tell like these people on their race team, they don't see these races and just go out there and cruise around. They think every race is a playoff race, and I'm pretty sure when the playoffs do begin, they're going to be giving 110%, possibly 120%. You know, that team just never quits, keeps working on it, and I think they'll get a good run for that championship, like you said.
Yeah, Harvick, he's got a different, everybody else enters the corner is different. He's just got, I don't know if he just figured something out different. Going into turns, he's just been real amazing this year.
So the next comment comes from Jared. He says, I became a fan after Dale Sr. died. At that time, my current driver was between Kevin and Junior on who to go with, but I went with Kevin because his personality. At the time, he was a bad boy. He reminded me more of Dale Sr. than Junior by far because of his attitude. Was just like Dale Sr. Do whatever it takes to win. Can't wait to watch Harvick win championship number 2 this year.
Yeah, it's real amazing to see him step up into the 29 car. And, as the competition is real tough, for any rookie to come into a series and then win within his first couple of races, because he went to Atlanta and beat out Jeff Gordon. A rookie took on Jeff Gordon and beat him. So that tells you what kind of talent Kevin Harvick has.
And we heard those iconic words, Gordon gets loose as Harvick. You hear these sentences, these phrases throughout the years, and it just becomes iconic. And I think Kevin Harvick is one of those drivers that if you're a long-term fan, you can pull for easily just because of the heritage and the history behind the driver, the car, and the team. So
yeah, it's really good for him to get a victory pretty soon after Dale Sr. passed away, and it kind of helped the fans heal some, so he went and drove around there with 3 fingers out the window and just giving his respect to Dale Sr.
And the next comment we have is actually the person who recommended us to record this episode about Kevin Harvick. So we wanted to mention her comment. It's from Jessica. She says, my dad, actually, his name is also Kevin, and it just stuck. I've gotten to see him race 3 times, and the first one was a win.
Yeah, it's really good to go to the track and see your favorite driver leading the race, and ultimately you like to see him win the race, and that makes it even more exciting for you.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Just going to the race, your driver's on pole, or he wins the race, something like that, something on those lines, or he just runs good. It's just fun. Watch your driver just go out there and lap cars, and it's one of the best feelings in the world. So as we go on to the next comment, this one is from Chris. He says he became a Kevin Harvick fan back when he was driving a truck. It says it didn't really have a big name on it. Originally started watching him because he came out to California, which in those days was a little different when he rose up through the ranks. And I was watching this inspiring young driver start winning everything he could get his hands on. Personally, I was not a big Earnhardt Sr. fan during his last days racing. I genuinely started watching NASCAR very diligently after his death to see two things. One, how this young driver that I watched up and come through the ranks was going to be able to fill such big shoes. In addition, I wanted to see how Dale Jr. was going to perform and how it was going to play out in seasons to come. The more I learned about Kevin Harvick and the more I watched, I also saw that he had a really good head for business as he started multiple race teams. I also noticed that he was very mature for a driver at that time that had a ton of competition coming up, including a lot of senior drivers to compete against. Since those days, I've just continued season after season to enjoy watching him race. Every single weekend edition, I happened to notice one year while attending the Daytona 500, I'm walking around while wearing a Kevin Harvick hat sporting the number 29 Goodwrench Chevrolet. And as I looked around, all the other fans, not one person had Kevin Harvick gear on. It made me appreciate that driver even more. Over the years, you seem to only mature and also become a fan favorite, but he has also shown that he can be a true champion in more ways than one. That described everything, really.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's pretty much it.
So, no comment. No, just kidding.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see how Hart was going to be. Once he took over the Goodwrench car, and plus see how Dale Jr. was going to do after that, and they both did pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, and as they mentioned in Dale Jr. there, we could possibly do a Dale Jr. video in the future. So let us know down below if you want to see that very soon. But one thing I noticed in this comment about having a good head for business, I really agree with that because we've seen him in the booth in the Truck Series a few times in Xfinity as well. He knows everything about the sport, knows it inside out, up, down, left, right, and I think if he could somehow get his hands on like being in command of NASCAR, he would pretty much fix all of the problems that we see today.
Yeah, he had a very competitive truck team, and they was always running strong, and I guess it took a lot of time away, from him. So that's the reason they did away for that team. But man, he's really good in the car, out of the car, in the booth, wherever. So he's
in space, somewhere.
So he's really a true leader. He soon went over here at Stewart Haas. He's been a true leader for them and helping them, perform well over there.
If we could somehow get Harvick on this podcast, I know that's probably not happening, but I would love to have a podcast just asking him what would he change with the sport. How could he turn it around if he was given like CEO privileges?
That'd be pretty awesome there.
Which he might get some penalties for what he says, but it would still be interesting.
Yeah, because he pretty much says what's on his mind.
Yeah, so he does.
That's really good.
Nothing wrong with that though. It's awesome to have that. It gives personality to the sport, which I think we need more of. But moving on to the next comment. This one is from Lance. He says, I was a really big Dale fan, and when he died, I was lost for a few weeks. First, I didn't know who to root for, but the more I watched Kevin, he impressed me more and more. He drove it a lot like Dale, very aggressive. He didn't let anyone push him around on or off the track. It made it easy for me to start rooting for Kevin. He made racing, exciting to watch, and something that I thought was going to be at a much lower level after Dale died. But Kevin stepped into his car and out of tragedy became a blessing. So that's how I became a Kevin Harvick fan.
Yeah, a lot of the Dale Senior fans, they just like, in shock, just after his tragedy. And they didn't know how the sport's going to be. It's one of the biggest names in the sport at the time. And then here comes Kevin, and he just blazes his own trail. And he don't back down. Even with Kyle Busch, he'll rub fenders with him, and he's going for the win. So.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see this big three run for a championship. We saw, Kevin bumping Kyle out of the way at New Hampshire. We've seen a lot of battles between those three, and I think it's going to get even more exciting in the future.
I believe last year, really, this whole speed started towards the end of the season when Kevin just passed Truex, and Truex was like, "Where'd he come from?"
Yeah, Kevin was like, "I like passing him. Let's keep doing that." Yeah, because at that point, Truex was unstoppable. It was the big one last year.
Yeah,
and
Mr. Mile and a Half there.
Mr. Mile and a Half, meet new mile and a half guy. But yeah, we've seen the speed. I think most teams just quit if a guy is just stomping them. I think with Stuart Haas, they really said we need to figure out how to make these cars work good enough to pass Truex. We might not have the next, the newest car on the field. We don't have the Mustang yet, but we'll improve on what we got and we'll dominate next year. And that they did. Most people that drove for Ford, they just said, well, we just need a new car. Stuart Haas just said, we'll fix it. and they did. But the next comment is from Kevin. And no, it's not Kevin Harvick.
Dang.
Why fans love me. But Kevin says, I'm from the UK, started watching NASCAR because F1 became, and still is, well, boring. I noticed the 29 car driven by Harvick straight away, beginning with his attitude and then with how much he loves his sport. Then it was how much he was family oriented, especially with his son Keelan.
Yeah, starting off, NASCAR and F1, they're, totally different. You really got to really be involved and notice F1 and everything that goes on there. But NASCAR is real big in the U.S. and it grew up on the dirt tracks and it just grew from there. And not every race series is for you. So I'm glad you stayed here with NASCAR with us. And I do like that, he is real family oriented and he really does a lot of stuff with his kids.
Yeah, we saw at Michigan, putting Keelan in the car. I wanted to share that moment. I would rather have that moment than do a burnout. I mean, that's awesome, right?
That was incredible. That was just one of the most amazing victory lanes, just see Keelan go up there and get the flag and then go right around in the car. That was just, it was pretty awesome.
And the last comment, but not least, is from Sue. It says, I started following Kevin when he started in the 29. Didn't have a driver before that, but followed Dale Jarrett because my husband was a Jarrett fan. When Kevin started in the 29, I told my husband, that's going to be my driver. And Kevin has been ever since.
It's always good to have that rivalry in your family.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to follow the same drivers, and it's good to have that rivalry between families and fans, and that's what makes this sport fun.
Yeah, friendly rivalry. We're going to say, not don't beat no one up because they liked another driver. And I think that's just kind of dumb. Yeah. But
They don't go to the track and beat the driver up. It's just wrong. It's just unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, we saw that in the past couple years. Really, we saw Kyle Busch at Bristol, Denny Hamlin at Martinsville. A lot of people wanting to fight these Gibbs guys. I don't know why.
It's good to be passionate about the sport, but that's going a little too far. And a lot of these are a long time Kevin Harvick fans, always from the 29 car.
Yeah, for me personally, I am a Kevin Harvick fan. And I started as a fan ever since Jeff Gordon retired, and I saw a lot of Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick, the way he drives the car, and he was also a seasoned veteran, which Jeff Gordon was that as well. It was nice seeing some people who were Kevin Harvick fans for a long time, seeing why they liked him, what made him so likable, and learn some more about him.
Yeah, it's been real interesting. I've liked Kevin for a long time. I've always been a Dale Jr. fan, but I always liked Kevin too. He always drove real well, and it's fun seeing him on the track.
And we'll see him on the track for possibly seasons to come. He has no sign of quitting right now, but
we want to give a big shout out to the fan groups here, the Kevin Harvick Nation and Harvick for Life. We want to thank everybody here for giving their comments and allowing us to come on there and talk to them fan groups. And so if you're a Kevin Harvick fan, you want to join a fan group, here's to for you to join on to.
Yeah, I'll leave the links in the description. Thank you to all the admins on those groups to allow me to ask some of the fans, give them some spotlight here, and I get to talk about their favorite driver. So next week we'll be recording Why Fans Love Kasey Kahne. Kasey Kahne, this will be his last full-time season, as we know of. But if you are a Kasey Kahne fan, let us know what made you become a fan, and we'll learn some more about Kasey Kahne next week. We hope you enjoy next week's race at Darlington, the Throwback Weekend. Get to see some throwback schemes from all ages, and it's going to be interesting to see which throwback scheme will come out on top. We'll be here to review the Darlington race, and we'll see who will be on the cover. So hope you enjoy that race, and we'll see you next week.